Many Americans are not familiar with what transpired during those pre-conflict talks. Joining us now with more on the details. He was in the room at the negotiating table, speaking directly with Iran's rogue regime. He's the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East. He, along with Jared Kushner, were there. You know, you are so crystal clear, Steve, on this program, but I am tired of people not hearing you and not hearing the president. Number one, the president sent you on a mission. He meant it when he said he wants a deal. Did he not?
He did, Sean. We were tasked with determining if we could get a deal that achieved his objectives, and a deal that could be enforced, and a deal that they would not break. And we were intent on getting it if we could.
All right. Iran cannot have nukes. Let's see. Hillary Clinton said it. Barack Obama said it. Joe Biden said it. Kamala Harris said it. And Donald Trump said it. And the president, again, was begging them basically for a deal. Now, they made this negotiation impossible. There are two parts of this. I want you to explain, number one, what you offered and what their demand was in response to your very generous offer.
Well, first of all, Sean, they opened up with telling us that they had the inalienable right to enrich, to which we responded that from President Trump that we had the inalienable right to stop them from enriching. So, but they opened up by challenging us. Their next statement to us was that they had 460 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium. 60% enriched uranium would take a week, maybe 10 days at the outside, to bring up to 90% weapons grade. So it was a clear threat. They were boasting about having it. And they said that that was going to be something that was going to be very valuable. At the same time that they were attesting to wanting nuclear for civil purposes. There is no reason whatsoever to be enriching past 20% unless you're going for a weapon. And then finally, and this was all in the beginning meeting, they said to us, and this was some challenge, you're not going to get from us diplomatically what you could not achieve militarily. Now, yes, we had destroyed their three main enrichment and conversion centers, Natanz, Esfahan, and Fordow. That was clear. They, of course, didn't want to admit it. But think about the notion of beginning a negotiation by saying that we would not be able to get diplomatically what we couldn't achieve militarily. We did achieve militarily, but they were basically saying that we didn't, and they weren't going to give it to us anyway.
Steve, I paid very close attention. I always pay close attention to what's in the press and what you say. I've known you for a long time. When they told you they had 460 kilograms of enriched uranium at 60%, you and I both know that to get that to weapons grade 90% enrichment would take a matter of weeks. You made that statement public before anything happened. At that point, that was a clear and present danger, was it not? Not only to the region, but to the United States. Do you believe it was a threat?
Sean, it's a week to a week and a half away from bringing it up to weapons grade. There would be no purpose to bring it up to weapons grade unless you had or were seeking a weapon. That's one. So it was very, very clear to us that with that amount of weapons grade material, that they had every intention of seeking a weapon. It was not. So it would not be logical to us to think anything else.
And I believe they would hold the world hostage. Let me go to the second part of this. You talked about, enriched uranium below 20% for civilian purposes. I would even argue with all their oil, they wouldn't need that. But with that said, you were very clear that you offered this low-level enriched uranium for civilian purposes. Now, I want to be very clear. What you told me, you offered it to them for free, whatever civilian uranium they would have, in perpetuity, if they would not enrich, and that obviously would include, genuine American inspectors anywhere, any place, any time, I assume was included.
That's correct. Well, oversight protocols were very basic here because they violated all the protocols. They threw the IAEA out in June after Midnight Hammer, and if you're doing something for if you're innocently doing things for civilian purposes, why would you need to throw out the oversight people from the IAEA? So oversight protocols were embedded and critical to this process. In terms of their enrichment, it was very, very clear they had plenty of 20% material. That, by the way, was another telling sign of their insidious motives. And as I said, they had the 60%. We had a red line on enrichment. However, we were willing to help them convert to a civil 1, 2, 3 non-enrichment program. And what you're referring to is, as a little extra, we suggested to them that we would provide fuel to them for free for a long period of time. And their response to that, you would think they would feel that that was something gracious. But their response to us was that this was an assault on their dignity. Now, it was very, very clear that that was an excuse, a subterfuge, to hide behind the fact that they needed enrichment, required enrichment, not because they were doing anything good. It's because they had to get to a weapon. That's how they felt that they would have increased power in the Mideast, and it would have changed the dynamic in the Mideast, and we couldn't allow it. A second North Korea in the Mideast would have been untenable. And everybody on our foreign policy team knew it, and the president was very clear-minded about it.